home, they earn children. How come they are not relevant to them on the Day of Judgment? And the answer is, any relationship that you have in this world, if it is not built on the relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that relationship is not relevant, and that relationship is not going to get you anywhere. And that relationship on the Day of Judgment won't be of any worth or any help. And that's what that verse is talking about, or these verses. It's because these relationships that you had during this world, it wasn't helpful, it wasn't useful. It didn't bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, the relationships that will bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those relationships that are built on iman, that are built on belief, built on bringing you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we have to choose our friends wisely. Choose those people that we spend our time with, people that remind us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remind us to stay away from sin, to do more good deeds, to have respect to our parents, to not spend our time laughing about very insignificant things compared to the reality of this world. And these relationships that bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are related to that narration from the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he says, Ali and I are the fathers of this nation. It means that if you want a relationship, or if you have relationships that are built on iman, if you as a human being have strong iman and strong faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Holy Prophet, in the Imams alayhimus salam, then for sure your fathers will be Ali and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. So that's the first point. The second point is the importance of seeking knowledge. Now this might seem a bit random since we're talking about the Day of Judgment, but we'll get there. We are told through authentic narrations to seek knowledge. And there's a big emphasis in our narrations, in our hadiths, from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, to seek knowledge, to educate ourselves, to seek ma'rifah, to understand the reality of this world, of ourselves, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of the Ahlul Bayt themselves alayhimus salam. And we are told to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. So when you are first born until we die, we are always continuously seeking knowledge. And those who their day is like the day before, they are losing. So when we're asked to seek knowledge, it's to elevate us. It's to elevate our rank in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because, as I said before, we're like in an exam at the moment. The more we learn, the better we will do in this exam. And we have a narration from the Ma'sumin alayhimus salam. It says, whoever doesn't seek knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not look at them on the Day of Judgment. And this is where the point is. Our goal in this world is to seek nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worship Him. And if all of this, you spend, let's say, 100 years in this world, and these 100 years aren't benefiting you in any way, then at the end of the day, on the Day of Judgment, we'll be nowhere. We'll probably be in the deepest pits of hell. Wal-'iyadhu billah. So we are asked to seek knowledge. And whoever does not seek knowledge, as this narration tells us, Allah will not look at them on the Day of Judgment. And the ones that Allah does not look at them on the Day of Judgment, we all know their fates. And of course, those who do seek knowledge, it's not enough to just seek knowledge. Okay, I might know that, let's say, ghiba is haram, or lying is haram, or speaking ill of someone is haram. But is this having an effect on me? If I just seek knowledge and I'm gaining all this knowledge, and this knowledge I'm not implementing it, then this knowledge is worthless. Because knowledge without action is useless. And it probably means that this knowledge that you are seeking, you're not seeking it with the right intention, or you're not seeking it from the right source, or you have something, a different agenda than actually wanting to seek knowledge. Maybe you're just seeking knowledge just for the sake of wanting to know something, but you're not actually wanting to implement this in your life. This type of knowledge is worthless, because this knowledge that you seek has to have an effect on you. You're meant to take this knowledge and implement it in your life, and that's the way of salvation. There's this narration in Amal al-Saduq for Shaykh al-Saduq, and it's a narration from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And it highlights 4 different things. I'll read it in Arabic. عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله لا تزول قدم عبد يوم القيامة حتى يسأل عن 4: عن عمره فيما أفناه، وشبابه فيما أبلاه، وعن ماله من أين كسبه وفيما أنفقه، وعن حبنا أهل البيت عليهم السلام. صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. So the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this narration is highlighting for us 4 things. The first thing is, how did we spend our life? He's saying on the Day of Judgment, Allah will be asking us about 4 things. The first thing is, how did we spend our life? Did we spend it seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Did we seek it? Or did we spend this life just to make money and fill our stomachs? Or did we seek it? Or did we spend this life wanting to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seeking the pleasure of our Imam, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif? That's the first thing he mentions. Second thing is your youth. How did you spend your youth? The Prophet highlights a very important point here, specifically about the youth, because your youth years are what shape your entire life. If your youth is spent disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's going to have an effect on you on the Day of Judgment or later on in your life, and that will draw the map of the consequences of your actions later on in life, whether it be happening to you, for example, or these consequences will happen to you, or it will happen to your offspring. The next thing, he says, your wealth. How did you spend your wealth and how did you earn it? Because any wealth that is earned in the haram way, of course that's not accepted. And any wealth that you gain and you spend it in something that is haram, that's also not acceptable. And this money that we get, it's not our money. Allah is giving us this money. So when Allah gives us this money, we need to spend this money in the correct way, in a way where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with us. Are we spending this money? Are we earning this money and paying, for example, khums, zakat, giving sadaqah? Are we doing these things or not? Because if we're not, then that's also a problem. And the last thing he mentions is the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Of course, us loving Ahlul Bayt, and this is agreed upon. The Shia and the Sunnis believe this. Whoever does not have love for the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam is not a Muslim. He is outside the fold of Islam. And the Holy Prophet is saying that you'll be asked on the Day of Judgment about the love of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And these things, these four things, your life, how you spent it, your youth, how you spent it, your wealth, and the love of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam are the four main things and four most important things that you'll be asked about on the Day of Judgment. So it's important that we stay vigilant to things like this and keep this in mind and focus on these things and better ourselves to get ready for that major day. The next point is, on the Day of Judgment will be called, and the verse says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, يَوْمَ نَدْعُ كُلُّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ. We'll call upon every people with their leader, with their imam. And of course this is important because it highlights that we need to be able to be with the imam. We have an imam present with us today. We need to get closer to the imam, actually understand who your imam is, know your imam, read about your imam. We have a lot of narrations. There's a lot of resources online. We can watch, we can read, but we need to get to know our imam. Because why? Because on the Day of Judgment we will be called upon with our imam, and this imam is going to be our leader, someone that will stand before him. This is what's important on that day. And there's a narration that is mentioned, I'm pretty sure, in Al-Kafi, and it says like the one who dies awaiting the imam is like those who die I think under the imam or fighting with the imam. So just awaiting for the imam throughout this period is more than enough to be with the imam. Two more points, inshallah, I'll conclude. So there is a verse in the Holy Quran, and this is another point on the Day of Judgment. These are different things I want you to see, and we'll learn about these. So on the Day of Judgment, we know how it will be. We'll have a glimpse of how what we will see on that day. This verse from Surah Al-Haqqa says, وَالْمَلَكُ عَلَىٰ أَرْجَائِهَا وَيَحْمِلُ عَرْشَ رَبِّكَ فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ ثَمَانِيَةٌ. And it says, and the angels are at its edges, and they will bear the throne of your Lord above them that day, 8 of them. So it's saying there's 8 people that will be carrying or bearing the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I've checked our tafsir, a majority of the tafasir are saying that those 8, 4 of them are from the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, which is the Holy Prophet, Imam Ali and Hassan and Hussein, and the other 4 are Prophet Nuh, Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Musa and Prophet Isa alayhi salam. And these 8 people will be carrying the Arsh. And this is also found in the book Al-I'tiqadat, that's for a Sheikh Saduq, authored by Sheikh Saduq. And he's one of our classical scholars, and he has this belief. And the last point, inshallah, is what will happen on that day. Inshallah, most of us, all of us, inshallah, we're all mu'mineen, we all believe in the wilaya of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, and we hope for the intercession of the Ahlul Bayt, the Shafa'ah. Because on that day, not just the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam will be interceding for people, but even some mu'mineen can give Shafa'ah. And the main interceders, however, are the Ahlul Bayt and the Prophets and the Salihin and the Shuhada. All of these will be interceders. So, who will they intercede for? This is the important question. So I know that Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, they will have the intercession, they will give shafa'ah on the Day of Judgment. But who will they intercede? Am I going to be among them or not? So there is a verse, what does it say? It says, يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ وَلَا يَشْفَعُونَ إِلَّا لِمَنِ ارْتَضَى وَهُمْ مِنْ خَشْيَتِهِ مُشْفِقُونَ. And the key words in this verse is وَلَا يَشْفَعُونَ إِلَّا لِمَنِ ارْتَضَى. So those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will want or accept. So who are those that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will approve? For the interceders to intercede for these. In another verse, what does it say? وعد الله الذين آمنوا منكم وعملوا الصالحات ليستخلفنهم في الأرض كما استخلف الذين من قبلهم وليمكنن لهم دينهم الذي ارتضى لهم. So here what's it saying? It's also using that same word, ارتضى. And the ارتضاء here is connected to your faith. إلا لمن ليستخلفهم في الأرض كما استخلف الذين من قبله وليمكنن لهم دينهم الذي ارتضى لهم. So it's saying this irtada is related to what? The faith of this person. Because it says دينهم الذي ارتضى لهم. And we see in another verse, what does it say? اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. So this verse, of course, we know it's a perfection of the religion, and that was on the day of Al-Ghadir. On the perfection, the religion is completed by the wilaya of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So it's saying, if we connect all these verses together, the conclusion we come out of it is those who will receive the intercession are those who hold the wilaya of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Because we see that it's related, this irtida that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving them, is allowing, approves, is those who have this religion. And we see in this other verse that the religion is completed with the wilaya of Imam Ali alayhi salam, which means that those who will be receiving the shafa'ah are those who hold the wilaya of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه ومن قوية سلطانه، والحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.